Willie Nelson, who turned 90 in April, shocked fans when they learned about his tragic current life. During the years of his developing career, Willie was also entangled in a series of complex legal cases, along with an extremely unstable married life. It's all in this video. Get ready to explore the tragic life of Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson has had several encounters with the law regarding marijuana possession throughout his life. Here is a detailed account of these incidents. 1974. Arrest in Dallas, Texas. In 1974, Nelson's first known run-in with the law for marijuana possession occurred in Dallas, Texas. This marked the beginning of a series of legal issues related to his use of the drug. 1977. Arrest in the Bahamas. In 1977, after a tour with fellow musician Hank Cochran, Nelson and Cochran flew to the Bahamas. Due to a late arrival at the airport, they boarded their flight without their luggage, which was sent separately. When they claimed their luggage in the Bahamas, a customs officer discovered marijuana in a pair of Nelson's jeans. Consequently, he was arrested and taken into custody. Hank Cochran, his friend and fellow musician, took it upon himself to arrange bail for Nelson. During this time, he brought a six-pack of beer to Nelson's cell. Nelson was eventually released, but not without some complications. While inebriated from the beer, he jumped in celebration, causing him to fall and injure himself. He was then taken to the emergency room. Nelson later appeared before a judge, who decided to drop the charges against him. However, the judge issued a stern warning, prohibiting Nelson from returning to the Bahamas. 1994. Arrest in Texas. In 1994, Texas Highway Patrolmen discovered marijuana in Nelson's car near Waco, Texas. This incident led to a court appearance, which prevented him from attending the Grammy Awards that year. 2006. Arrest in Louisiana. In 2006, Nelson, along with his manager and sister, Bobby, found themselves in legal trouble once more. They were arrested in St. Martin Parish, Louisiana, and charged with possession of marijuana and hallucinogenic mushrooms. Nelson was sentenced to 6 months of probation as a result of this incident. 2010. Arrest in Sierra Blanca, Texas. On November 26, 2010, Nelson was arrested in Sierra Blanca, Texas, for possessing 6 ounces of marijuana in his tour bus while traveling from Los Angeles back to Texas. To secure his release, he paid a bail of $2,500. During this case, there was an interesting exchange between Nelson and the court. The prosecutor suggested that Nelson sing "Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain" in court as part of his punishment. However, the judge rejected this idea, explaining that the prosecutor was joking. Ultimately, Nelson's lawyer, Joe Turner, reached an agreement with the prosecutor, resulting in Nelson paying a $500 fine to avoid a 2-year jail sentence, with a 30-day review period in case of another legal issue. However, the judge later changed her mind, stating that Nelson was receiving preferential treatment due to his celebrity status and that the offense typically carried a 1-year jail sentence. The case remained open with the possibility of dismissal or a different outcome depending on the judge's decision. Issues with the Internal Revenue Service. In 1990, Willie Nelson faced a significant financial crisis when the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, seized most of his assets, alleging that he owed a substantial debt of $32 million. This situation was exacerbated by poor investment decisions he had made during the early 1980s. Nelson's financial troubles had their roots in 1978, when he parted ways with his manager Neil Reshan. Following this split, he was introduced to the accounting firm Price Waterhouse by Dallas lawyer Terry Bray. With the aim of addressing the debt Reshan had accrued with the IRS, Nelson was advised to invest in tax shelters, which, unfortunately, proved to be unsuccessful. The IRS disallowed his deductions for the years 1980, 1981, and 1982, despite a significant increase in Nelson's income during that time. As a result of penalties and interest, his debt continued to grow throughout the 1980s. To tackle this financial crisis, Nelson's lawyer, Jay Goldberg, negotiated to reduce the debt to $16 million. Later on, Nelson's attorney was able to rework an agreement with the IRS, under which he agreed to pay $6 million, although Nelson did not fully comply with this agreement. In an effort to address his financial obligations, Nelson released a double album titled The IRS Tapes, Who'll Buy My Memories. All the profits generated from this album were earmarked for the IRS. To further rectify his financial situation, many of his assets were auctioned off, and some were purchased by friends who either donated or rented them back to Nelson for a nominal fee. Nelson also took legal action against Price Waterhouse, alleging that they had placed his money in illegal tax shelters. The lawsuit eventually reached a settlement for an undisclosed amount. By 1993, Nelson had successfully cleared his debts, marking the end of a challenging period in his financial history. Nelson has been married 4 times. His first marriage was to Martha Matthews, which lasted from 1952 to 1962. During this marriage, they had 3 children, Lena, Susie, and Willie, Billy. Hugh Jr., who tragically died by suicide in 1991. This marriage was marked by violence, with Martha assaulting Nelson several times, including a particularly disturbing incident where she sewed him up in bedsheets and beat him with a broomstick. His second marriage was to Shirley Colley in 1963, but they divorced in 1971 after Colley discovered a hospital bill for the birth of Paula Carleen Nelson, which was charged to Nelson and another woman, Connie Koepke. Nelson married Koepke the same year, and they had a daughter named Amy Lee Nelson. They divorced in 1988. In 1991, Nelson married his current wife, Annie D'Angelo. They have 2 sons together, named Lucas Autry and Jacob Micah. However, in 2012, it was revealed that Nelson had fathered a daughter with his friend Mary Haney, born on January 22, 1953, named Renee Butts, born Linda Renee Barley. Tragically, Butts passed away in 2017. Nelson owns Luck, Texas, a ranch in Spicewood, and he also resides in Maui, Hawaii, where he has several celebrity neighbors. In 1981, while swimming in Hawaii, Nelson experienced a collapsed lung, leading to the cancellation of his scheduled concerts. His ongoing struggles with lung congestion due to heavy smoking eventually led him to quit tobacco, though he continued to use a carbon-free system for smoking marijuana. Nelson has faced several health issues throughout his life. In 2004, he underwent surgery for carpal tunnel syndrome, a condition caused by continuous guitar playing. He canceled concerts and focused on writing songs during his recovery. In 2012, he faced breathing problems due to high altitude and emphysema, which required hospitalization. However, his publicist confirmed that his health remained generally good. Nelson's lung problems and pneumonia led him to undergo stem cell therapy in 2015 to improve his lung condition. During his childhood, Nelson developed an interest in martial arts and ordered self-defense manuals advertised in comic books. He began formally practicing Kung Fu in the 1960s after moving to Nashville. In the 1980s, he started training in Taekwondo and eventually achieved a second-degree black belt in that discipline. During the 1990s, he also began practicing Gongkwon Yusul, a Korean martial art. In 2014, he received a 5th-degree black belt in a ceremony held in Austin, Texas. His unorthodox training methods involved practicing on his tour bus and sending videos to his supervising master for critique. In March 2021, one of Nelson's original songs, "I'll Be Seeing You," was used in a public service announcement by the Ad Council to encourage COVID-19 vaccination in the United States. Nelson and his sister received the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine in January 2021. In May 2022, he contracted COVID-19 and had to postpone several shows. His wife revealed that he was severely affected by the illness and received various treatments, including Paxlovid, monoclonal antibodies, and steroids. He eventually resumed his tour in September 2022. Are you curious what happened to Willie Nelson in his early years? He was born on April 29, 1933, in Abbott, Texas, to Ira Doyle Nelson and Myrle Marie, née Greenhaw. Interestingly, his birth date was initially recorded as April 30th by Dr. F.D. Sims, but he was actually born on April 29th. His cousin, Mildred, played a significant role in naming him, choosing the name Willie and Hugh as his middle name to honor her recently deceased younger brother. Nelson's family had a deep-rooted connection to American history, with his ancestor, John Nelson, having served as a major during the American Revolutionary War. In 1929, his parents had moved to Texas from Arkansas in search of employment. His grandfather, William, worked as a blacksmith, and his father worked as a mechanic. Unfortunately, his mother left the family shortly after his birth, and his father later remarried and moved away. As a result, Nelson and his sister Bobby were raised by their grandparents, who had a background in teaching singing in Arkansas and initiated their grandchildren into music. At the age of 6, Nelson received a guitar from his grandfather and learned a few chords. He began singing gospel songs in the local church alongside his sister. Remarkably, he wrote his first song at the tender age of 7 and was playing guitar for a local band called Bohemian Polka by the time he was 9. During the summers, the family picked cotton alongside other Abbott residents, a task Nelson disliked. To earn money, he started performing in dance halls, taverns, and honky-tonks. When he was just 13, a pursuit he continued throughout high school. Nelson attended Abbott High School, where he excelled in various sports, including football, basketball, and baseball. He was also involved with the Future Farmers of America, where he raised pigs. While still in school, he sang and played guitar in a band called the Texans, which was formed by his sister's husband, Bud Fletcher. The band performed in honky-tonks and even had a Sunday morning spot on KHBR radio in Hillsboro, Texas. After leaving school in 1950, Nelson briefly joined the U.S. Air Force, but was discharged after 9 months due to back issues. He returned in 1952, married Martha Matthews, and pursued studies in agriculture at Baylor University from 1954 to 1956. During this time, he joined the Tau Kappa Epsilon fraternity, but eventually dropped out to focus on a career in music. His journey included various jobs, such as working as a nightclub bouncer, auto parts employee, saddle maker, and tree trimmer. He later became a part of Johnny Bush's band. In 1955, Willie Nelson embarked on a pivotal journey that marked the beginning of his long and influential career in country music. He, along with his family, moved to Pleasanton, Texas, where he soon found himself seeking a job as a DJ at a local radio station known as K-Bop. What made this venture remarkable was that Nelson had no prior experience in radio broadcasting, yet he was determined to give it a try. Nelson's audacious move to audition for the DJ position caught the attention of Dr. Ben Parker, the owner of K-Bop. Despite his lack of radio experience, Dr. Parker decided to take a chance on Nelson and hired him as a DJ at the station. This opportunity, though unconventional, was the spark that ignited Nelson's journey in the world of music. Armed with the equipment at the station, Nelson recorded his first 2 tracks in 1955, The Storm Has Just Begun and When I've Sung My Last Hillbilly Song. These recordings were created on used tapes, showcasing his dedication to pursuing his passion for music. Following the recording of these tracks, Nelson sent the demo tapes to a local label called Sarg Records, hoping to land a record deal. Unfortunately, his initial attempt at getting signed was met with rejection, as Sarg Records did not see the potential in his work. Undeterred by this setback, Nelson continued to pursue his passion for music. He took on various jobs, including working at radio stations like KDNT in Denton, KCUL, and KCNC in Fort Worth. He hosted a program called The Western Express, taught Sunday school, and performed at nightclubs to make ends meet. However, the pursuit of his dreams took him on a winding path. Unsuccessful in finding a job in San Diego, he decided to head to Portland, Oregon, where his mother resided. In a daring move, Nelson hitchhiked his way towards his new destination. Unfortunately, he faced challenges on the journey, including sleeping in a ditch when he couldn't find a ride. Ultimately, a kind-hearted truck driver came to his aid, driving him to a bus station and even loaning him $10 for a bus ticket to reach Portland. This chapter in Nelson's life was marked by resilience and determination as he overcame adversity on his quest to achieve success in the world of country music. These early experiences in Texas, his pursuit of radio DJing, and his daring journey to Portland all contributed to shaping the character and determination of the iconic musician Willie Nelson, who would go on to become a legendary figure in country music. In 1956, he was hired by Kay Van in Vancouver, Washington, where he frequently appeared on a television show. It was during this time that he made his first record, No Place for Me, with Leon Payne's Lumberjack on the B-side. Unfortunately, this recording did not achieve the success he had hoped for, but Nelson continued working as a radio announcer and performing at Vancouver clubs. Nelson's musical journey took him to various places. He made appearances in Colorado nightclubs before moving to Springfield, Missouri. Frustrated by his inability to land a spot on the Ozark Jubilee, he took a job as a dishwasher. Dissatisfied with his situation, he eventually returned to Texas. After a brief period in Waco, he settled in Fort Worth and decided to step away from the music business for a year. During this time, he sold Bibles and vacuum cleaners door to door and became a sales manager for the Encyclopedia Americana. In 1958, after the birth of his son Billy, the family moved to Houston, Texas. On the way, Nelson stopped at the Esquire Ballroom to sell his original songs to house band singer Larry Butler. Although Butler didn't purchase the song Mr. Record Man, for $10, he gave Nelson a $50 loan to rent an apartment and a 6-night gig at the club. Nelson rented an apartment in Pasadena, Texas, near Houston, and also worked as a sign-on disc jockey at a local radio station. During this time, he recorded 2 singles for Pappy Daly on D Records, which included tracks like Man with the Blues and The Storm Has Just Begun, among others. Nelson's journey continued with a twist when he was hired by guitar instructor Paul Buskirk to work as an instructor in his school. During this period, he sold Family Bible to Buskirk for $50 and Nightlife for $150. Family Bible eventually became a hit for Claude Gray in 1960. In 1960, Nelson decided to move to Nashville, Tennessee, but struggled to find a label willing to sign him. He spent time at Tootsie's Orchid Lounge, a popular bar near the Grand Ole Opry, where he met Hank Cochran, a songwriter working for Pamper Music. Cochran was impressed by Nelson's talent and convinced Ray Price and Hal Smith, the owners of Pamper Music, to pay Nelson $50 a week to sign him. Farron Young, another artist he met at Tootsie's, decided to record Nelson's song Hello Walls, which became a hit. Nelson signed with Liberty Records in 1961 and released successful singles like Willingly and Touch Me. His first album, And Then I Wrote, was released in September 1962. In 1963, Nelson married Shirley Colley and worked in the West Coast offices of Pamper Records in California. In 1964, he moved to RCA Victor, thanks to Chet Atkins, signing a contract for $10,000 per year. Nelson's tenure at RCA Victor began with Country Willie, his own songs, and included hits like One in a Row, The Party's Over, and Bring Me Sunshine. By 1970, Nelson faced financial difficulties as most of his songwriting royalties were invested in tours that did not yield significant profits. He also divorced Shirley Colley and lost his ranch in Ridgetop, Tennessee, in a fire. These events led him to move to a ranch near Bandera, Texas, where he married Connie Kupke. Despite having one last RCA single in 1972, Mountain Dew, Nelson decided to retire from music due to the reception of his albums and a desire for change in his life. In 2010, Willie Nelson continued to make his mark in the music industry with the release of Country Music, a compilation of standards produced by the renowned T-Bone Burnett. The album achieved significant success, peaking at number 4 on Billboard's Top Country Albums chart and reaching the 20th position on the Billboard 200. Country Music received a nomination for Best Americana Album at the 2011 Grammy Awards, showcasing Nelson's enduring influence in the genre. In 2011, Nelson participated in the Kokua for Japan concert, a charitable event aimed at raising funds for the victims of the devastating 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami in Japan. This event successfully raised $1.6 million, reflecting Nelson's commitment to using his music to make a positive impact in the world. In February 2012, Nelson signed a deal with Legacy Recordings, marking a significant milestone in his career. The agreement included the release of both new material and a selection of past releases, complemented with outtakes and other materials personally chosen by the artist himself. Buddy Cannon, a trusted collaborator, returned to produce the recordings, and their work process involved studio musicians laying down tracks, with Nelson later adding his distinctive guitar and vocals. The partnership between Nelson and Cannon extended to songwriting, with the two exchanging lyrics via text messages. Nelson's first release under the Legacy Recordings label was Heroes, a notable album that featured guest appearances by his sons Lucas and Micah, as well as music legends like Ray Price, Merle Haggard, Snoop Dogg, Chris Christopherson, Jamie Johnson, Billy Joe Shaver, and Sheryl Crow. Heroes made its mark by reaching number 4 on Billboard's Top Country Albums chart. In 2013, Nelson continued his creative journey with To All the Girls, an album filled with duets featuring a remarkable lineup of female partners, including Dolly Parton, Loretta Lynn, Roseanne Cash, Sheryl Crow, Mavis Staples, Norah Jones, Emmylou Harris, Carrie Underwood, and Miranda Lambert, among others. This release entered Billboard's Top Country Albums at number 2, marking Nelson's highest chart position since his 1989 album, A Horse Called Music. Additionally, it represented his second top 10 album on the Billboard 200, debuting at number 9. The year 2014 saw the release of Band of Brothers, a milestone in Nelson's career, as it featured the most newly self-penned songs since 1996's Spirit. This album topped Billboard's Top Country Albums chart and reached number 5 on the Billboard 200, marking his highest position on the latter chart since 1982's Always on My Mind. In December 2014, Nelson's collaboration with Rhonda Vincent on Only Me reached the top of Bluegrass Unlimited's national airplay chart. The success continued in June 2015 with his album Django and Jimmy, a collaboration with Merle Haggard that not only topped Billboard's Top Country Albums chart, but also reached number 7 on the Billboard 200. In 2017, Nelson released God's Problem Child, an album featuring mostly Nelson's own compositions, co-written with Buddy Cannon. The release was a major success, entering the Top Country Albums chart at number 1 and reaching the 10th position on the Billboard 200. In 2018, Nelson lent his iconic voice to Cruel World, a song written by Daniel Lanois for the soundtrack of the video game Red Dead Redemption 2. Despite initial challenges due to a hurricane, Nelson managed to record the song in Los Angeles. His performance was ultimately featured in the game, alongside a version by Josh Homme. In the same year, Nelson participated in Restoration, a cover album featuring various country renditions of Elton John songs. He performed Border Song on this collaborative project. Nelson's 2019 release, Ride Me Back Home, charted at number 2 on the Billboard Top Country Albums chart. The title track earned Nelson a Grammy Award for Best Country Solo Performance, cementing his enduring impact on the music industry. In the wake of the U.S. coronavirus pandemic lockdowns that commenced in March 2020, Willie Nelson demonstrated his unwavering commitment to making a positive impact through his music. He embarked on a series of live-streamed benefit concerts to provide much-needed support to those who had suffered financial loss due to the pandemic's adverse effects on the U.S. economy. The first two live-streamed concerts raised an impressive $700,000, exemplifying Nelson's dedication to helping others during a challenging time. One of the standout events in this series of benefit concerts was the third installment, held on April 20th, 2020, titled Come and Toke It. This was a unique variety show that incorporated elements of cannabis culture, reflecting Nelson's well-known advocacy for marijuana legalization. Some of the proceeds from this event were earmarked to support the Last Prisoner Project, a restorative justice initiative focused on individuals convicted of cannabis-related crimes. Nelson's involvement in this event highlighted his ongoing commitment to social and political causes that mattered deeply to him. In the same year, Nelson joined forces with Karen O of the Yeah Yeah Yeahs for a collaboration that gained attention and acclaim. Together, they chose to cover the iconic song Under Pressure, originally performed by David Bowie and Queen, showcasing Nelson's willingness to explore new musical territory and collaborate with diverse artists. Moving into 2021 and 2022, Nelson continued to make his mark on the music scene. His releases, The Willie Nelson Family, 2021, and A Beautiful Time, 2022, garnered significant recognition and acclaim. He received 4 Grammy Award nominations for the 65th Annual Grammy Awards, and he triumphed in 2 categories, Best Country Solo Performance and Best Country Album. These accolades highlighted Nelson's enduring musical talent and the impact he continued to have on the country music genre. Looking ahead, in December 2022, Mark Rothbaum announced the upcoming release of a 5-part documentary titled Willie Nelson and Family. This documentary was set to premiere at the 2023 Sundance Film Festival, providing a comprehensive look into Nelson's life, music, and career, offering fans and the public a deeper understanding of this iconic musician. In 2023, as he celebrated his 90th birthday, Willie Nelson performed at 2 highly anticipated concerts at the iconic Hollywood Bowl, further solidifying his legendary status and his enduring appeal to audiences of all ages. To add to the excitement, he was also inducted into the prestigious Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, an honor that recognized his profound influence and contributions to the world of music, transcending the boundaries of any one genre. What do you think about Willie Nelson's tragic life? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.